What Archewell donor is funding hate groups and Meghan Markle caught in another lie? Question mark. The most bullied person in the world says she never said that. After King Charles's cancer diagnosis earlier this year, many doubted a tour of Australia was even possible. How exciting to see their majesties in the land down under. The king and his aides understand that His Majesty's health will be under a microscope like never before during a trip packed full of engagements. Palace aides believe they need a solid, incident-free execution to generate confidence in the king's health and leadership. I'm optimistic that the king and queen will handle any potential pressure with grace. With whispers already beginning, King Charles has stressed that he won't stand in the way if Australia wants to become a republic. Described as a narrow victory, Australians voted to keep the late Queen Elizabeth II as their head of state in 1999. During the Queen's 13th visit to the country the following year, she spoke of how the decision was up to the citizens, saying, "I have always made it clear that the future of the monarchy in Australia is an issue for you, the Australian people, and you alone to decide by democratic and constitutional means. It should not be otherwise." A Buckingham Palace spokesperson recently reiterated the statement, saying, like his mother before him, it has always been the case that His Majesty the King feels that it is a matter for the Australian people. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, who previously said Australia should have an Australian as head of state, recently indicated that a second referendum was not a priority. What do you hope to see while the King's in Australia? Let me know in the comments below. We had a surprise Princess of Wales sighting last week that tugged at our heartstrings. Royal sources say Catherine decided to join Prince William to meet with Southport victims to show her support, empathy, and compassion to the community. The Prince and Princess of Wales spoke to emergency responders and families affected by the Southport stabbings. This was going to be an emotional experience for both Prince William and Catherine, who have tiny Taylor Swift fans at home. You can't help but imagine yourself in those parents' shoes. Catherine deciding to surprise first responders and affected family members did make for an uplifting afternoon of storytelling, memories, and community building. So much of what the Prince and Princess of Wales do is listen. They listen and they process and they form new ideas based on the feedback they get from some of the brave individuals they meet out in the real world. Were you pleased to see the Princess of Wales? I already know the answer, but let me know in the comments below. Now to the truly bizarre. What is going on in Montecito, California? I don't even know where to begin with this week's chaos. Larissa May, the founder of hashtag Half the Story, a mental health advocacy group for teens, gave a really glowing and positive interview to Vanity Fair about an interaction she and her charity recently had with Meghan Markle. But what's a Meghan Markle story without a little bit of conflict? Larissa told Vanity Fair in the article published on Friday that Meghan spoke about being one of the most bullied people in the world. She allegedly made this statement while participating in a screen-free day with young girls and teens at an event hosted by Girls Inc. of Greater Santa Barbara in partnership with hashtag Half the Story on October 2nd. Larissa explained, "We did an activity where we talked through a bunch of scenarios, and Meghan talked about being one of the most bullied people in the world." It was an innocent comment on Larissa's part, but it blew up online thanks to, the hypocrisy of it all. Later on the same day, sources close to the Sussexes tried to disparage the headlines by insisting to the New York Post that Meghan talked about her experience with online bullying, but never claimed she was the most bullied person in the world. Here's why I call garbage. Larissa May has no reason to lie about Meghan Markle. The pair have collaborated since 2023, when hashtag Half the Story was selected as one of the first organizations included in the Responsible Technology Youth Power Fund backed by Archewell. Larissa is not going to jeopardize any sort of funding meant for her charity. Additionally, this is literally not the first time Meghan Markle has said something like this. Back in 2020, it's on audio. We have the receipts. Meghan told the Teenage Therapy podcast, "In 2019, I was the most trolled person in the entire world, male or female." I was the most trolled person in the entire world. If she'll say it once, she'll say it twice, while denying that she said it either time. Like when Prince Harry told ITV's Tom Bradby that the Sussexes never accused a member of the royal family of being racist. Recollections may vary. Now, if you're asking yourself, would Meghan Markle really sit in front of a group of children or teenagers and talk about herself? The answer is 100%. There are a couple of issues with this story. A, Meghan's camp denying that she claimed to be one of the most bullied people in the world. I absolutely think that she said that. Why lie about it? B, it is in stark contrast to the way that the British royal family operate. They elevate important causes by allowing other people to tell their stories. They listen, ask questions, and campaign for causes spotlighting those individuals. If you look at guidelines on how to work with or mentor children, experts suggest it is generally better to give examples focused on other people rather than yourself, as this can help create a sense of distance and avoid coming across as overly self-centered. Instead, they teach, use relatable stories from peers, historical figures, although Meghan would tell you she's a historical figure, or fictional characters to illustrate positive behaviors and choices. Meghan constantly makes herself the victim and center of attention. It makes Meghan appear very self-involved, and like any effort she puts into these causes are only to talk about and elevate herself. See, some internet sleuths have pointed out that multiple Girls Inc. chapters have recently battled their own claims of workplace bullying. In 2023, Girls Inc. of Worcester was accused of a toxic work environment that included racist, ableist, and discriminatory behavior. Their Massachusetts chapter settled the case. As part of the agreement, Girls Inc. requires an annual training for board members, administrators, and staff to address implicit and explicit bias and diversity, equity, and inclusion. Optics aren't great. D, birds of a feather. If Meghan wants to be an authority on online bullying, she should probably reconsider the company she keeps. Meghan's friend Chrissy Teigen was called out for telling a teenager to end her life on social media. Ellen DeGeneres was investigated for her toxic work environment on set. And James Corden is widely considered one of the rudest celebrities in the entire world. His behavior is so appalling, he's been banned from restaurants. If you are who you associate with, no wonder Meghan's desperately chasing after Kimberly Williams Paisley. E, yeah, we're already up to E. Many will consider Meghan referring to herself as the most bullied person in the world while being a target of a Buckingham Palace bullying investigation or a Hollywood Reporter investigation a masterclass in gaslighting. By continuing to draw attention to the concept of bullying, she is only attracting more attention to her own bullying allegations. At what point is experiencing the natural consequences of your poor choices not enough? When do you blatantly decide to change direction? And more importantly, decide to commit. We've heard from Meghan's camp that she just wants to move forward and chase joy. Then why dwell on the past in front of a bunch of little girls who have their own problems at home? But that is not the only scandal to rock the house that Netflix built. Over the weekend, the Globe ran a piece exposing one of Archewell's donors as an entity also funding hate groups. The Globe alleges that Harry and Meghan's foundation received more than $6 million in contributions from Fidelity Charitable, which receives donations from undisclosed benefactors who are said to influence where money managers funnel their dollars. What is most concerning is Fidelity's distribution of almost $25 million to nearly 30 organizations identified by the Southern Poverty Law Center as hate groups. The Archewell donors released millions to alleged anti-LGBTQ nonprofits, alleged white nationalist organizations, and anti-immigration organizations have also accepted donations via Fidelity. Why would you want to be associated with any donor helping spread messages of hate? No, thank you. Return to sender. The obvious conclusion is that Archewell and the Sussexes fail to properly vet their collaborating organizations. Show up, do good, forgot to Google. That is what is so crucial about having the backing of the palace. The palace combs through organizations and people to ensure that members of the royal family are not left red-faced by inappropriate associations. They do that due diligence for you. Inappropriate associations like AHA's Jennifer Freed, who gave up her therapy license after allegedly counseling a teen SA victim, requiring her to sit down with her attacker and engage in a restorative justice session rather than report the incident to authorities. According to the California Globe independent news site, Freed allegedly asked the victim to do this in part because there were, quote, already too many Black men in prison. Freed has denied the allegations, but that doesn't explain why the school district settled with the student for $1 million. The attacker was a teacher. The teacher pleaded no contest and was fired. AHA claims to care for the children holistically, but many see them as a political indoctrination platform. Here's Harry and Meghan visiting with AHA's Jennifer Freed in May of 2023. How about Harry and Meghan's association with Safi Raff of the Human First Coalition? During the 2021 holiday season, Harry and Meghan announced that they made a generous donation to the Human First Coalition. I announce those donations too. Every time I do something nice, I send a press release. It's very important to me. Some months later, the Human First Coalition awarded Archewell the Partner Organization Award for its advocacy and financial support. You scratch my back. According to an ABC News report, Raff and his organization, the Human First Coalition and Human First LLC, have been accused of mistreating refugees they evacuated from Afghanistan. He and his organization have also separately been sued for fraud. Or how about Airpeace's CEO, Alan Onyema, who hours ago was indicted for obstruction of justice? By the way, this is not his first indictment. Alan Onyema was among a small group of officials who greeted Harry and Meghan upon their arrival to Nigeria. Onyema's Airpeace was the carrier that the Sussexes used on their 3-day tour. Meanwhile, federal prosecutors say Alan Onyema used his airline company as a cover to commit fraud. In the United States, while he was being investigated, prosecutors say he was committing more fraud to throw off the investigation. He denies the allegations, but $44 million worth of bank fraud is no joke. Oh, and we just cannot forget the Nigerian king, who was deported not once, but twice, convicted of fraud and accused of SA. That's a Sun headline you just cannot forget. Nigerian king, who Harry called his in-law, is con man jailed and deported after trying to cash stolen $247,000 check. You know what they say? Show me your friends or adopted in-laws, and I'll show you your future. A shout out to Reddit user LBD for some of the above observations. Yes, I completely forgot. If we are going over sketchy charity associations, this is just me editing the video going, I can't believe I forgot this. Of course, I'm going to mention African Parks Charity. We've gone over this a million times. African Parks Charity accused of SA, accused of violence, and they said that they were doing their own investigation on it, and crickets. Also, Harry's closed-door meeting in New York with African Parks, no media allowed, sketch. So I had to jump in here and insert this because, yes, I remembered it. I'm so sorry. I almost forgot it. My question to you is, when every headline revolves around you, Meghan Markle, being the most bullied person in the world, when you are in crisis PR mode trying to erase a domineering narrative by popping up at little charity events, do those victimhood headlines totally negate your objective? Translation: was Meghan Markle better off Thursday than she was on Friday after that Vanity Fair article hit? If you made it to the end of this video, make sure you comment with a kangaroo emoji so that I can see you. If I were going to Australia, when I go to Australia, my first stop will probably be a kangaroo sanctuary, but I'm not going to go to a zoo. I want to go to a sanctuary. That is where I draw the line. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share with a friend. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Kinsey Schofield.